Good afternoon, ma'am. So, here's my video and Unit 2, Learning Activity 1. First sentence, a group of words that can stand alone and gives a complete thought or idea. It has two basic parts, which is subject and predicate. The following are the examples. The student is attending the flag ceremony. So, the subject is the student and the predicate is attending the flag ceremony. Next is Boracay Beach is a famous tourist spot. Boracay Beach is a subject and a famous tourist spot is predicate. The dog barked loudly. The dog is the subject and bark loudly is a predicate. The engineer is estimating the road construction materials. The engineer is the subject and the estimating road construction materials is predicate. Serious mania is called Little Baguio. So serious mania is the subject and Little Baguio is predicate. So next is kinds of sentences according to structures. Simple sentence. A group of words that can stand alone and gives a complete thought. It has two basic parts, the subject and predicate. A simple sentence has one subject and one predicate. Example, the glass is broken. So the subject is glass, the glass, and the predicate is broken. Next is the boy is playing his toys. Next is the cow is eating grass. Compound sentence. A sentence that consisting of two or more independent clauses or simple sentence joined by the semicolon, comma or coordinating conjunction. Clause is a group of words that contain a verb and its subject. A clause that can stand alone is called an independent clause. A clause that does not express a complete thought and cannot stand by itself is called a dependent clause. Example, the police officer checked the registration and asked for driver's license. So, the independent clause is the police officer checked the registration. And is the conjunction. And asked for driver's license is called dependent clause. The doctor gave insulin and checked the blood pressure. So, independent is the doctor gave insulin, the conjunction is and the dependent clause is check the blood pressure. Next is the accused asked for public attorney, but the judge rejected the request. So the accused is the independent. The accused asked for a public attorney is the independent clause, but is the conjunction, and the judge rejected the request is dependent clause. Next is complex sentence. A sentence containing one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. Example, though the wounds still bleeding and the arm injured, Joe will contact the ambulance for help. So, the independent clause is though the wounds still bleeding and dependent arm injured, then the independent clause, Joe will contact the ambulance for help. Next is Lexis went to the private attorney, filed a deed of sale, and going to the engineer. Lexis went to the private attorney is the independent clause. Filed and deed of sale is dependent clause, and going to the engineer is dependent clause. While signing the police clearance, the police officer gave receipt to those done and told them to free to go. So, while signing police clearance is dependent, the police officer gave receipt to those done is independent and told them to free to go is dependent. Compound complex sentence contains two or more independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. Example, when the thieves see the owner of shop, they were cock their gun and slowly going outside. The guard was alert. Three persons with their backpacks and broken windows inside. So, the independent clause is when the thieves see the owner of the shop, they were, and dependent clause, they were cocked their gun and slowly going outside is dependent clause. The guard was alert and this is independent. And three, when person with their backpacks is dependent and broken windows inside is dependent. Though the circumstances of taking criminology, I'm still want to proceed due to lack of financial support and self-confidence. Next example is when police officer arrive at the crime scene, crowd people circle the victim. The witness is approaching to the police until what happened. Next is four kind of sentences according to function. Declarative sentence. A sentence that states an idea ends with a period. So example, John Paul is a victim of massacre. Next is criminology. Student take the mock board exam. Next is pay me examination last month. Two, interrogative sentence. A sentence that asks a question and ends with a question mark. For example, who is the victim of arson? Next is when the crime happened. What was the motive of the crime? Next is imperative sentence. A sentence that gives an order or direction and ends with a period or exclamation mark. Example, please report the crime happened. Next is please assign police clearance. Next is give me the crime document. The last one is exclamatory sentence. A sentence that conveys emotion, exclamation mark. Example, stop, put your hands up. Hey. Next is hey, stop moving forward. Next is help, call the police please. That's all ma'am, thank you. Naman na.